Carina Press and HarlequinAudio present Hard Ride by A.M. Arthur. Performed by Greg Boudreaux. Chapter 1. Derrick Massey leaned his shoulder against the porch post and gazed out at the dark shapes of Clean Slate Ranch, barely lit by the tiny thumbnail of a moon somewhere in the night sky. He was probably the only person on the ranch still awake, and that suited him just fine. For all that today had been about joy, love, and friendship, Derrick was grateful to finally be alone so he could grump over everyone else's good fortune. This was the second time Derrick had traveled from the San Francisco suburb he lived in to the working dude ranch that was Clean Slate for a wedding. The first had been about a year and a half ago, when his little brother Conrad married Sophie Bentley here on the land. Today, or yesterday, since it was technically Sunday now, he'd watched two gay couples get married and profess their love and commitment. And then Sophie had promptly gone into labor. Derrick snickered softly at the memory of Conrad's panic and excitement. Their whole family, Conrad and Sophie, Sophie's big brother Wes and his partner Mac, Sophie's parents, and Derrick had all ended up at the county hospital yesterday afternoon. But Derrick, Wes, Mac, and Mr. Bentley had been sent back to Clean Slate to get some sleep when the nurse told them Sophie's progress was very slow and the baby was unlikely to be born before mid-morning Sunday. For as much as Wes complained about leaving his sister, he'd fallen asleep in the car. Derrick couldn't sleep, though. Hell, he wasn't even tired, which surprised him since it was past 3 in the morning and he wasn't usually a night owl. But he was agitated by his own jealousy over the double wedding and the new baby. Seemed like everyone around him was pairing off, getting hitched and settling down, and Derrick wasn't. And his confidence had taken a few big hits in the last 2 years. A light came on in a second-floor window of the main house. The ranch owner lived there with his foreman and the ranch's cook. Derrick watched, but the light shut back off quickly. Someone up for a bathroom break, maybe. Restless and bored, he stepped off the porch of the guest house and wandered down well-trodden paths. This one branched in 2 directions. One went to the row of small 2-man cabins behind the guest house where the ranch hands lived. The other path led to the big barn, and Derrick went that way. The last time he'd been inside the barn, he'd embarrassed the hell out of himself by kissing one of the ranch hands before verifying they were both on the same page. They hadn't been, and Derrick had been very politely turned down. He and Colt had remained friends, though, and yesterday Colt had married his longtime love, Avery. I really am happy for them. Jealous of them, too, intensely. The barn was quiet, with a few dim lights giving the long corridor a gentle nighttime glow. One of the horses nickered softly. Derrick watched the nameplates on the stall doors until he found Valentine. He'd ridden her during his vacation here 2 years ago. He laughed at himself, because Derrick had thought Colt asking if he wanted to visit Valentine was code for hooking up. Wishful thinking, girl, he said to the horse, who blinked big brown eyes at him. You want to be my Valentine? Cheesy, but whatever. He was alone, as usual. His little brother was married and having his first kid. His brother-in-law, Wes, was happily settled down and living with his partner here on the ranch lands. Every single person he worked with was either married, engaged, or making new baby announcements. Not that Derrick was jonesing to raise a litter of kids or to even get married, but a long-term boyfriend or girlfriend he trusted would be nice. Except trust. Yeah. Derrick no longer trusted easily. Hadn't for a lot of years. Not since his first serious girlfriend in college cheated on him and gave him a case of the clap, courtesy of the dude she was fucking on the side. And while that had been nearly a decade ago, Derrick seemed to have developed a neon sign on his forehead that said, "Cheat on me," because it had happened 2 other times before he gave up on dating. Pump and dumps scratched an itch and didn't break his heart afterward. Except for Robin, yet another ranch cowboy Derrick had gotten involved with. But that had been Derrick projecting and seeing more into their frequent hookups than had ever been there for Robin, who was happily in love with his own boyfriend, Sean. Seeing them together at the weddings had hurt more than it should have. But Derrick and Robin had been hooking up regularly for about a year, and their sexual chemistry had been off the charts. The fact that they rarely had anything in common to talk about after the sex was over should have been a big clue to Derrick not to get it.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?